Welcome to The Explainer. Look, if you've ever tried to build a truly global network on AWS, you know the pain. Today, we're going to build one right from the ground up, and I'm going to show you how to do it without all the usual headaches. So, if you're a cloud pro, does this look familiar? That feeling when you think about connecting multiple regions, data centers, all your cloud resources, and it just feels like this tangled mess? Yeah, that complexity can spiral out of control, and it can do it fast. Okay, so let's get really specific here. What are the actual challenges that turn a global network project into such a massive headache? Well, for starters, we're talking about the painstaking work of manually stitching together transit gateways between all your different regions. Then you're stuck fighting with route tables, just hoping everything propagates the way it's supposed to. And the worst part? There's no single place to see what's actually going on. It's just a patchwork of different tools and policies that becomes an absolute nightmare to manage and keep secure. But imagine for a second, what if you could just trade all that complexity, that tangled mess, for a totally automated, unified global backbone? A network that pretty much manages itself, so you can get back to focusing on the important stuff. And this is exactly where AWS Cloud WAN comes into the picture. It's a service that was purpose-built to solve these exact problems and bring a little bit of elegant simplicity to all that chaos. So what is it really? Think of Cloud WAN as the central brain for your entire network, no matter where your stuff actually lives. The core idea here is just brilliant. AWS handles all the mind-numbing complexity on the back end, so they can deliver radical simplicity to you, the user. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to walk through a real-world scenario, connecting VPCs in the US and Europe, and we'll even bring in some on-premise sites all managed from one single interface. By the end of this, you're going to understand about 80% of Cloud WAN's core power, and trust me, that's more than enough to see how incredible this thing is. So how do you actually build one of these? Well, it's a layered approach, and getting the creation order right is absolutely the key. It's what makes all the pieces fit together so perfectly. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with the global network. That's kind of the main container for your whole setup. Inside that, you define your core network, that's the actual backbone. Then you create these logical segments to isolate your traffic. And finally, you connect all your resources, your VPCs, your data centers, using attachments. Now, let's really dig into the core network, because this is where the magic starts. When you define your core network and you just pick the AWS regions you want to be in, Cloud WAN automatically deploys something called a Core Network Edge, or a CNE, in each one. This is a total game changer. The easiest way to think of a CNE is like a regional transit gateway, but with a superpower. Instead of you having to manually peer them all together, Cloud WAN automatically connects all of them into a fully meshed global backbone. This right here completely wipes out that whole tedious, error-prone process of manual peering and route propagation. It just goes away. Okay, we've got our backbone. Now, how do we keep our traffic separate and organized? Well, that's what segments are for. If you come from a traditional networking world, just think of these as VRFs. They let you create completely separate logical networks. One for dev, one for prod, one for finance, that all run on the exact same backbone but are totally isolated from each other by default. All right, the foundation is built. Now it's time for the fun part. Let's connect our actual workloads and see the system light up. This is where the theory becomes very, very real. Here's the plan. We're going to take a development VPC over in the US East region, and we're going to attach it to our dev segment. Then, we're going to do the exact same thing with another dev VPC, this one all the way over in Europe, and attach it to that same dev segment. And that's it. No, really. That is literally all you have to do the moment those VPCs are attached to the same segment. Boom. They can talk to each other across the globe. No extra steps, no manual routing. It just works. So let's just pause for a second and appreciate what just happened. Everything that used to be a long manual checklist, peering transit gateways, configuring direct connect gateways, painstakingly editing route tables, is now just automatic. This isn't just a small improvement, it's a completely different way of building global networks. Of course, I know what you're thinking. A real enterprise network is way more than just a couple of VPCs. So let's expand this out and see how easy it is to bridge this cloud backbone to the rest of your IT world. It's super easy to add, say, a shared services VPC into its own shared segment. Or what about your on-prem data centers? Yep, just create a VPN or a direct connect attachment and plug them right into a segment too. And the best part? You can define these simple, high-level policies that control which segments can talk to each other. Now, for what might be my favorite part, the ultimate payoff. After building this huge, dynamic global network, how in the world do you manage and monitor it all without going crazy? Right? With everything connected across continents, how do you not fall right back into that same old trap of flying blind with no central visibility or control? And this, my friends, is the killer feature, a single, unified global network map. This is that single pane of glass everybody's been dreaming of. From one dashboard, you can see your entire network, all your attachments in every region. You can inspect the actual route tables for each segment and check the status of everything across the globe. And this quote just says it all. All of this visibility, all of this connectivity is automatic without you ever needing to write a single manual static route. It's incredible. And believe it or not, just like that, you've now got the handle on about 80% of what AWS Cloud WAN is all about. From the core concepts to connecting VPCs and monitoring it all, you get the fundamental building blocks that make up almost every real-world deployment. You know, this is a huge shift in thinking, right? We're moving away from clicking buttons and typing commands and moving towards just defining our intent, our policy, and letting the network build itself. It transforms networking from this complex chore into a real strategic enabler. So the only question left is, now that global networking is this simple, what are you going to build with it?